Alright, here we go. My name is Q12 and welcome to my channel. Basically, the sole purpose of my channel is just to play Modern Esper Control or Modern Esper Draw Go. And what Modern Esper Draw Go is, it's basically a control deck at its purest. A control deck that just relies on draws, no, removal, counter spells, and drawing cards, and just using all of that for the sole purpose of not to win the game, but more importantly, not to lose the game. The basically the whole idea behind this is we don't want to lose the game, which basically we want to go into the long grindy matches like turn 17 and up, and from once we're there and we're in control of the game, from there we'd start winning the game basically. So I'll go down my list, my 75. I have 8 counter removal, 3 supreme verdicts, 4 path to exiles. They go great. A condemn is one of my flex spots. Condemn I see it as a 5th path to exile. I really love it doesn't give the enemy or the opponent another piece of land that they can use. And some people tend to like run 2 supreme verdicts, 1 wrath of god, but I personally believe uncounterable wraths are much better than regenerating, or the clause that the creatures that are destroyed they can't be regenerated. But like, I really don't see any regeneration out there except for Thrun and like the Lawleth troll. And 13 counter spells is it you can play around the numbers. It's usually, if I take this negate out, this would usually be the shell, except for the interesting part is these 2 dissolves and 2 cryptic commands. Right now, I've been testing a split between 2 cryptics and 2 dissolves for a while now, and the reason why I play dissolve is because I think that extra mana, because this is an extra card that you can play around turn 3. Because before you can only play like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counter spells before turn 4. But put in dissolve lets us play 10 counter spells before turn 4. But I'm still on the fence whether I want to get 4 cryptic commands or 3 cryptic commands, or take out a dissolve and replace it for a cryptic command. I'm not sure. And this negate is one of my flex spots. And you know what? In fact, I do have a textless negate. There it is. Okay, here's the textless negate. So yeah, 13 counts of counter spells. Spell snare, for it gets your, it just basically 1 mana to counter a 2 mana cost spell. That means you're hitting your Tarmogoyfs, Islands of the Great Revels, Planial Crating. Those are great cards to spell snare. Remand is more of a tempo card. It's more of a cantrip than a counter spell. But it's a soft counter, but it gets the job done when you're remand a Liliana back into their hands and keep remanding it back to their hand. You're basically just time walking them. And Dissolve, I explained why I personally like Dissolve over 4 cryptic commands, but you'll see in the later testing or in the later matches of how I feel about all of this, or how all of this works together. These 2 cryptic commands, they work wonders. Especially, you're mostly gonna play for its counter draw, but sometimes its other modes are like tap their team, draw a card, or tap their team, return target permanent. It just helps you a lot. It's versatile. It gets the job done for 4 mana, and I think this is a really good card. Logic Knot. This is super good, especially if you have the land Calciform Pools. If you have this like at 8 counts or 8 charges on this land, you can basically cast Logic Knot for just by tapping this land, and that's amazing. And also, Calciform Pools is very good, especially with Sphinx's Revelation, White Sun Zenith, Cryptic Commands. It's basically, if you have Calciform Pools and you go into the late game, this thing is gonna probably win you the late game for sure. Negate, I have it in here for most of like getting Lilianas or anything around that matter. I used to run a mana leak in this position, but I still don't know how I feel about that. Sphinx Revelation is part of the shell. This is an amazing card. You gain life and you draw X cards. Basically, you cast this for around like 10 using Calciform Pools or using all your land drops, and it's like 46% of the times you get a auto concession from the opponent. Esper Charm is an amazing card. This is probably the reason why I play Esper Control, other than the counter spells and removal and the draw. Esper Charm, it's an instant Mind Rot, an instant Divination, and an instant really bad Demystify. But still, it works. It works pretty good as a Demystify because it gives you those three options that you can choose from. And I usually spend about usually 30 seconds in the tank deciding whether I should draw two cards or the opponent discard two cards. It's a huge thing this card is, especially when they have four cards in hand. You can Esper Charm, make them discard two, Snapcast, Esper Charm, make them discard two, and you just take out their whole hand. You're basically 3 for 4ing them. That's the thing. And these Think Twices, these work really good, especially if you're looking for land drops or anything in the turn 1, 2, and 3, or actually turn 2 and 3. If you have a 2 land hand and you have a Think Twice, I'd snap keep, because these things will help you find lands immediately and crazy good. And we can go down to the mana base. Well, actually, we have a White Sun Zenith for creatures. This is one of our win conditions. This and Celestial Colonnade is 2 of our win conditions, other than controlling the game. A Singleton Calciform Pools for the reasons I stated about the Sphinx Revelation and Cryptic Command. A Negate for filtering. It's colorless, but I haven't had any problems with this card so far. And it works wonders when you only have a plane out on the field, but you need to cast something like a Dissolve or anything for that matter. And you have this, then you can do white blue or blue blue or double white. Ghost Quarter for the Tron matchup or anything that has like a Utopia Springs on them. Any card, any land card that you just want to deal with. It works really good with Tron. And Glacial Fortress is here because my color ratio is 22 blue, 16 white, and 12 black is my current ratio for this deck. And everything else is kind of shell or stock, which is 2 Hallowed Fountains, 4 Celestial Colonnades, 4 Flooded Strands, 3 Polluted Deltas, 2 Watery Graves, 1 Drowned Catacomb, 3 Islands, 1 Plain, and 1 Swamp. And the reason why I'm running 1 Plain and 1 Swamp is mainly because I want to play Urborg. And the reason why I'm playing Urborg is because I want to have these fetch lands. If I draw them in the late game, I want them to tap for mana instead of looking for my basics or any of the shocks, because at one point in time these fetch lands won't get you anything. So it's nice to have them tap for mana at least. And Urborg really helps me in the burn matchup because if I have any of these fetch lands, I don't have to pay 1 life just to get a colorless mana or any of the mana sources. I can just tap it for actual black mana, which I find is really good. And you can find it during these videos to see how my mana base works, see if it's all good or all bad, and then you can make comments about how if I should take out the Urborg and replace it for the second plane. And if I do that, I would have to take out Urborg for the second plane, and I think Drowned Catacomb for another Glacial Fortress, or I think a Glacial Fortress for a Drowned Catacomb. That's how it'd be. Well, that's the main 60, but now let's get to the sideboard. The sideboard is, I'm still testing around this, trying to figure out what the metagame is and how these cards go along with that. I have 2 Dispels for the control matchup, or anything burn, control, zoo, anything that's playing anything at instant speed. The same with Teferi. This is mostly for the control matchup, but it does wonders in burn matchup as well. I have a Singleton Surgical Extraction and Singleton Thoughtseize. I used to run 3 Thoughtseizes, but I think Surgical Extraction and Thoughtseize combo is a really good combo. Basically, what that is let's say you're playing against Splinter Twin and you do turn 1 Thoughtseize, take their Splinter Twin out of their hand. Also, pay 2 life, turn 1 Surgical Extraction, surgically extract the Splinter Twins from their whole deck, and basically remove them the whole combo. That is if they don't board out the combo game 2 and 3. Ruined Halo for Bogles, Burn, Infect. You just have protect. You name a card and get protection from it. This card does wonders when you name Island of the Great Revel because the Burn player either had to bolt his or her own Island of the Great Revel or just keep taking 2 damage for no reason. I'm not taking any damage. Stony Silence is self-explanatory. This is for Lantern Control, Affinity, Tron, Disenchant to take care of Bogles, Affinity, Tron, and Lantern Control. Celestial Purge, the exile target black or red permanent. This works really good in versus like John, Grixis, Twin, and Burn. I bring in a split between Time of Reinforcements and Pulse of the Fields for the Burn matchup, and I would run 2 Time of Reinforcements, but I believe since we're an Esper control deck, the only cards in the main board that is an instant speed is just these Supreme Verdicts, just 3 Supreme Verdicts. Other than that, you can literally play this whole deck at instant speed, which is another reason why I love this deck so much. So that's why I'm fond of Pulse of the Fields, because I can just keep playing it, and as long as they have more life than me, I can just return it back to my hand and keep playing it. This basically negates a bolt, plus gives you 1 life. And Time of Reinforcement negates 2 bolts, but it's sorcery speed, which I'm still trying to figure out what's better, 2 timely, 2 pulse, or a split between these 2. And I think right now the split's working pretty good. I have a Wrath of God for in case there's actually creatures that can't be destroyed, like Thrun and the Lawless Troll. I bring this in if I go in against aggro or anything that has a lot of creatures in it. Teferi, I already explained. Elspeth Sun's Champion in case I'm playing against the control matchup and White Sun Zenith can just get taken down by just 1 Dispel that can pull in an Elspeth, or against any aggro deck that I need to pull in Elspeth as a tertiary winning condition. And so that's my whole 75 for Modern Esper Draw Go or Modern Esper Control. And I hope to see you guys on this channel more often, or I hope to see you guys on this channel. And pretty soon I'll be posting up videos of some games I'll be playing later on this day. And so yeah, so maybe you can probably subscribe and so you can find out when I upload these videos or not. And I'll be streaming on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. And that's about it. I'm Q12 and I'm out.